Hello again, those of you who are interested in history. Today we set out on an exciting adventure through time as we investigate the fascinating world of gladiator games in ancient Rome. This is going to be a really thrilling day. From the blood-soaked sands of the Colosseum to the silver screen, we will uncover the historical origins of these lethal spectacles and their contemporary portrayal in popular films. Our journey will begin in Rome and end on the silver screen. Get ready to be enthralled by the truth behind the gladiator's life, the fights, and the mesmerizing entertainment that captivated ancient Roman audiences. To truly understand gladiator games, we must venture back to ancient Rome. The origins of these games can be traced back to ancient funeral rites and religious celebrations. Around the 3rd century BC, they first began to develop, expanding from duels fought at funerals to spectacular spectacles held in honor of the gods. These games were originally played by slaves, prisoners, and criminals who had been sentenced to death and were given the name munera. Gladiator games, on the other hand, began to assume a more significant function in Roman society as their level of popularity increased. Emperors and other wealthy individuals started sponsoring these events as a means of gaining public favor and demonstrating their power. The games evolved into a symbol of status and gave an opportunity for the wealthy and prominent to display their power and money. These early gladiators were frequently pitted against one another or wild animals in arenas that were not very large. However, as time went on, there was a growing need for shows that were greater and more sophisticated, which led in the creation of vast amphitheaters such as the world-famous Colosseum. Up to 50,000 people would gather to watch gladiator battles in these arenas, which eventually became the center of the action. When construction on the Colosseum was eventually completed in the year 80 AD, the structure was hailed as a technological and architectural tour de force. It included many floors, each with varied seating configurations based on social rank. The top floors were allocated for the common people, while the aristocracy received the best seats closer to the action. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's pull back the curtain and find out what life was really like for these gladiators. It's a popular misperception that all gladiators were either slaves or criminals, but that's not always the case. Many of them were actually free men looking to make a name for themselves and amass wealth. They willingly adopted a life of battle, trained intensively in specialized gladiator schools designated as ludi. Gladiators would go to these ludi, which were essentially like sports academies of the modern day, in order to hone their skills in a variety of different combat techniques, including sword fighting, spear throwing, and hand-to-hand combat amongst others. They underwent intense physical training and were taught how to put on a captivating show for the audience. Let's discuss the actual bouts themselves, shall we? The gladiator games had a complicated system of rules and were choreographed with great attention to detail. The warriors utilized a wide variety of armor and arms, each of which was customized to the warrior's particular fighting style and the nation from which the warrior originated. The fights were like a perilous dance that required both skill and strategy in order to win, and doing so meant that you would keep your life. There were a variety of gladiators, each of which fought using a unique arsenal of weapons and had their own signature style of combat. For example, the retiarius was armed with a net and trident, whereas the secutor wore heavy armor and wielded a short sword. Both of these soldiers belonged to the class known as the secutor. Both of these positions were essential to the Roman army in their time. These distinct styles created a thrilling clash of different combat strategies. Gladiators received their training from seasoned instructors who not only instructed them in the art of combat, but also assisted them in developing their own distinct fighting style. They spent hours practicing their skills, learning how to wield different weapons, and examining the weaknesses of their possible opponents. These gladiators came together to form a close-knit community within the ludi, in which they both supported and competed with one another. Despite the inherent danger of their career, gladiators were admired by many, and successful combatants acquired renown, fortune, and even the prospect for freedom. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's pull back the curtain and find out what life was really like for these gladiators. It is a widespread fallacy that all gladiators were either slaves or criminals. However, this was not always the case. Many of them were actually free men looking to make a name for themselves and amass wealth. They willingly adopted a life of battle, trained intensively in specialized gladiator schools designated as ludi. The battles that took place between gladiators could be broken down into a number of distinct categories or types, and each of these had its own distinct rules and characteristics that had to be adhered to. For example, the retiarius was equipped with a net and trident, and fought against opponents like the secutor, who wore heavy armor and wielded a short sword. These contrasting fighting styles resulted in an exciting mix of different approaches to the conflict. The gladiator battles were not always fought to the death. In fact, most bouts ended with one gladiator disarming or incapacitating the other. It was up to the editor, the person in charge of the games, to decide whether the defeated gladiator would live or die as a result of his defeat. At that point, the defeated gladiator would raise his index finger as a sign of surrender. There are some instances in which the reaction of the audience can have an impact on the decision made by the editor. The audience may have begged for pity if the losing gladiator fought bravely and put on an excellent display, and the editor may have decided to grant their request in order to spare the gladiator's life. On the other hand, if the defeated gladiator displayed signs of weakness or cowardice, the crowd might call for his death, and the editor would grant their wish to put him to death. The gladiator games were more than just bloodshed. They were a mesmerizing form of entertainment. These public displays allowed the Roman emperors to demonstrate their authority while also entertaining the common people. Celebrations of the games included lavish parades, musical performances, and ostentatious displays of wealth. The audience, consisting of men, women, and even children, excitedly awaited the gladiators' entrance into the arena. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation and excitement. Cheers erupted from the crowd as the gladiators made their way onto the sand-covered floor. Everyone in the crowd was excited to see the spectacle that was about to take place right in front of their very eyes. The Colosseum, the crown jewel of the Roman Empire, was where these extraordinary events reached their height. It even flooded the arena to simulate naval battles, complete with elaborate stage sets, trapdoors, and other special effects. The spectacles were designed to amaze the audience and transport them to another world. The gladiator contests were frequently interspersed with other forms of entertainment, such as chariot races, animal hunts, and acrobatic shows. Because of the sheer variety and magnitude of these spectacles, which ensured that there was something for everyone to enjoy, regardless of their social status, there was something for everyone to enjoy. This was because these spectacles ensured that there was something for everyone to enjoy. The spectacle of gladiator combat never fails to captivate audiences, regardless of whether it is taking place in the arenas of ancient Rome or on the big screen in the present day. By recreating these spectacles in a number of films, Hollywood has provided us with a window into the brutal yet fascinating world of ancient Rome. This has provided us with a window into the world because it has provided us with a window into the world. Films like Gladiator and Spartacus have become iconic representations of these legendary warriors. These films not only display the horrific bouts, but also dive into the human stories behind the gladiators. They shed light on the struggles and aspirations of the Roman people, as well as the complicated dynamics that existed within Roman society. We are able to completely submerge ourselves in the splendor and savagery of the gladiator games by watching these movies. The film Gladiator, released in 2000, stands as one of the most prominent and renowned representations of gladiator sports. Through its breathtaking sights, fierce fighting sequences, and fascinating narrative, it brought the world of ancient Rome to life. The film not only conveyed the gravity of the wars, but it also probed questions regarding honor, loyalty, and the drive for autonomy. Another prominent example is the classic film. Seek out books, documentaries, and further research to increase your knowledge and appreciation of this interesting era in ancient Roman history. Join us next time as we dive into another intriguing topic. Before that time comes, you should always keep in mind how vital it is to value the stories that have played a role in the development of our world. I appreciate you watching and have a nice day.